Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I want to talk about a very interesting topic, a topic that I've been thinking about for a minute and wanted to touch on, so now we're here. And that's the NFL's running back position, a very interesting position because we have some guys who are demanding respect, who think they're more than just running backs. And what we're seeing is the NFL has devalued this position. I think right now it's the least valued position in NFL other than off-ball linebacker. So when I look at this, what you can see on your screen is the top 6 running backs in base salary in 2023. Now, Joe Mixon, there's an asterisk beside him because now he's not currently on that list anymore. And yesterday, a move that's kind of going under the radar, which I think can impact elite NFL running backs, is something that we're going to talk about. He restructured his deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this is a guy who talked about he wants to win a championship and he wants to be a part of a winning team. That's his biggest goal. It's not all about the money. And in the past, we've seen guys who we know the running back doesn't have a large shelf life, and guys want to get their money while they can, while they're in their prime, hunting that big contract. But Joe Mixon, he seems like he's a different type of guy. And I want to read off these details. Joe Mixon took a $4.39 million pay cut in 2023 and a $4.67 million pay cut next year. His new base salary in 2023 is now $5.51 million, down from roughly $9.4 million that it was previously. And there are incentives that can let him earn $2 million per year. So this is a huge pay cut. And as we can see by this list, this now takes him down from, he was number 6 ranked in base salary going into 2023, and now he's right below Austin Ekler, just above Jonathan Taylor. So we're going from 6 to 9. I mean, it's not really a huge jump that it would look like, but that's a huge jump when we're talking about base salary for a guy in the NFL. And my question is, with the Josh Jacobs, with the Saquon Barkleys, with the Dalvin Cooks, how does this impact them? Now, I want to take a step back and talk about the running back position, because what we're seeing, and this is something that can even go down with the trickle-down effect coming from the NFL to college football to little league football. And what we're talking about is now guys who are versatile, who have the skill set to be a running back, kind of be that gadget football player that can play in the slot, play outside. We've seen guys, Cordell Pattersons of the world. Will they take the route? And now that it's saying, I'm not carrying the football, I'm strictly going to be a slot guy, or if I carry the football like a Deebo Samuel, I'm going to do more catching than I do carrying. I'll do it at sometimes, but you're not going to give me 10 plus carries in a football game. And I think that we're going to start to see that. Even the Alvin Kamara, the Christian McCaffreys, guys who could truly be starting caliber slot receivers, this is something we may see a shift in, especially with guys coming into the NFL. And when I look at Saquon Barkley, when I look at Dalvin Cook, I think that it's not evenly weighted. I don't want to say this situation with Joe Mixon is the same as the situation with the New York Giants, is the same or was the same with the Minnesota Vikings. Even with the Oakland Raiders, Josh Jacobs, I don't think it's the same, because we look at the Cincinnati Bengals. You got Tyler Boyd. You got T. Higgins. You got Jamar Chase. So we know that that is a pass-first offense. And even though Joe Mixon could be an elite running back in the NFL, I think he's shown that in Oklahoma. He's shown that pre-Joe Burrow. I want to talk about what is his role now. And I think his role now is kind of to be that guy. Of course, he's going to still get carries, but he can be the guy who milks down the clock, who gets first down, short yardage, but I don't think he's the high volume focal point of the offense like he used to be. With that being said, I look at a Saquon Barkley and I look at a Josh Jacobs, guys who are top 5 rushers in the NFL. And we're talking about volume and production. So we got to look at both of those things. And when I think about Saquon Barkley, he can catch the football, he can run the football, he's electric and explosive. So I want to picture that offense without Saquon Barkley. And for any team who's watching this video, whoever your favorite team is, picture your team without your best running back or your best weapon, because for these teams, I think that is the best weapon. Now, Devontae neck and neck with Josh Jacobs, but hypothetically, we take that away. Now, last year, that's giving us Slayton, that's giving us Isaiah Hodgins, that's giving us Daniel Bellinger, Daniel Jones, and of course, we still love our weapons, but when we don't have the threat of a Saquon Barkley in the backfield, it's so many different coverages we can play, so many different things we can do. We can do a lot of different things that's going to make Daniel Jones uncomfortable because we don't have Saquon Barkley to lighten that pressure. And even for the guys last year, we had Derek Carr, we had Jarrett Stidham, guys that Brian Hoyer, guys that were putting at quarterback for the Oakland Raiders. And I don't think that without Josh Jacobs now, the Oakland Raiders didn't have a great season last year. but we take away Josh Jacobs from a team who struggled. It's looking at things like that, and I think that these guys still have to get their money. We look at the Ezekiel Elliott deal and how that has changed the NFL. I think ever since Ezekiel Elliott got paid and his production dropped off a cliff, of course, I could understand why NFL owners and why teams are scared to pay these running backs. But I think the biggest thing is we have to get our guys' volume is in contracts, but we have to look at the length. And I think that is the type of thing that we could do to kind of combat how running backs are valued and how running backs are looked at in the NFL. If we can kind of front load the deal and we look at the back half, kind of like we do some of these quarterbacks, we front load the deal, and in the back half, the last couple of years, now we're giving ourselves a way to get out of this deal. I think that's something that should be looked at and taken into heavy consideration because these running backs are doing so much for the offense, and we're saying a dime a dozen, and we can replace this. How can we really, truly replace what Derrick Henry brings to the Tennessee Titans? I love Hassan Haskins. I like Tyjae Spears, but how can we truly replace that? How can we truly replace what Nick Chubb is for the Cleveland Browns? How can we truly replace what Saquon Barkley is for the Giants? And yes, there is running backs. Yes, we can do certain things, but I don't know. With some of these guys, I think it's a difference between having a good run game and having a great to elite run game. We saw, and I want to talk about Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, two guys who were drafted in the top 15 picks. Now, some people don't like those picks, but I think for the Atlanta Falcons, that's a perfect pick. We're bringing that in with Tyler Algier. We still got Cordell, who's kind of the hybrid. We're going to have a dominant run game, and that's not even touching on the offensive line. We look at the Detroit Lions and understanding they lost Jamal Williams. They lost DeAndre Swift, but still, look at what they got back in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. So I can kind of feel why some of these teams may say we draft a younger running back and then we get a proven running back at a lower cost instead of trying to get this one elite guy. But when you have the one elite guy and you don't truly have what's in line to replace him, I think that's when you got to pay him. So, of course, I love what Joe Mixon did. I like how this affects that team. Gonna get some extensions done pretty soon, hopefully. But I still think that if it were up to me, I would pay Saquon Barkley. I would pay Josh Jacobs. Like I said, for the years may be shorter, but I'm going to try to front load the deal. Give myself some incentives, some signing bonuses, ways around that. So maybe in the third year, in the fourth year, where we look at a guy who may not have the same production, we can get out of that deal. But still paying these guys in the first 2 to 3 years, I think that's the solution to what we could try to do at least. When we talk about youth football, these guys coming up, I don't know if they're going to want to be running backs. I just don't know it because maybe in high school, yes. Maybe in college, yes. But if you have the talent and if you have the skill set and versatility, I don't see why you would not become draft eligible as a slot receiver or just a pure receiver. That's where I'm at with this conversation. I want to know what you guys in the comments think about it. Has Joe Mixon hurt NFL running backs? Should more teams want guys like Joe Mixon who want to win first, or should these guys be respected to where you produce as a top 5 running back? Should you get your money, or should you put the team first and get the pay cut, depending on the role in the scheme? Like I said, I think these guys, when I talk about Jacobs and Barkley specifically, they have different roles than Joe Mixon in the offense. But does that play a factor? Is that in line? What should these teams do, and where is the running back position currently?